Welcome back to another Coffee with Laura. I, of course, am Laura, and I'm just your friendly coach here to try and help you transform your health, stress, and life so that you can reclaim authority over your mind and really thrive through daily life challenges rather than just survive. And today, I'm here to talk to you about a rather important topic: emotions and what they do for us. Emotions are the language of the body. We never question feeling hungry or full or like we need to use the restroom. When we feel that sensation, which is a feeling, we trust that to move forward. When we're feeling tired, we don't pretend we're not tired. I mean, we might have to push through or we might put on a mask to perform, but if someone were to ask us if we're tired, we know we're tired. Same thing if we're feeling stressed. We know that we're feeling stressed. So what emotions aren't okay? Because I know those exist. Many of us were raised in the same culture where these emotions were allowed to be expressed and these emotions weren't allowed to be expressed. But as much as the world keeps trying to kind of separate us and, I want to lose weight from this area, or I just want to fix this thing, we are a being, like one singular being. It all works together. And at the end of the day, the emotions that are permitted and aren't are lodged in the same part of our brain. And that part of our brain has one key job: to motivate us. Now, how does it motivate us? It wants to conserve energy. So it motivates us to conserve energy. It motivates us to seek pleasure. And it motivates us to avoid pain. There are the three baseline motivations of that brain system. And that is the true purpose of our emotions. They're here to protect us, to help us understand things that maybe we can't cognitively understand as quickly. What makes that challenging is today we aren't being attacked by lions and bears as much. So that system still responds as if we are being attacked by lions or bears, when really we're being attacked by ourselves, by our perception of the world, by our sense of safety around our perception of ourselves. Take perfectionism as an example. Whether perfectionists realize this, they operate with the foundational belief that if everything's perfect, then I won't suffer. Now, again, that's not really a cognitive thought people have, but it's more the understanding behind their behavior. If all these things go the way I want them to go, if I prepare perfectly, then it'll go the way I want it to go. It just doesn't work like that. So let's say life is inevitably going to be lifelike and throw you some hiccups. Maybe that one of those hiccups is you're being late, and you're going to notice some of those unpleasant feelings. And let's say you're late not because you're running late, but because you're waiting on a partner or a kid or a friend. You might just start noticing that you're feeling impatient or frustrated or irritated, causing tension between the connection you have with people who are important to you. Why? Is that person going to kill you? Hopefully not, likely not. But your body is responding that way because you're hooked on the perfectionist cycle of no suffering is okay, more or less. If it doesn't go the way I want, I'm going to respond behaviorally in a suffering format to protect myself. So what is that emotion, that frustration, that annoyance, what is it trying to protect you from? The perceived pain you think will kill you. Now, I know you don't actually think it will kill you, but because we avoid it so heavily, our brain is literally wired to almost think that it will kill us. So let me give you a more realistic example of my life. So my husband and I do this thing every Wednesday that is date night, and we alternate. I plan a day for him, he plans a day for me, so on and so forth, so that we get fresh ideas and both parties are taken care of. Now, there's one Wednesday that I'd traveled the weekend before and I got home late, so I didn't have time to meal prep. So I only had like 1 or 2 meals, and I told him on Sunday, like, I'm going to need to meal prep during date night before the date starts. He understood, or so I thought. When I told him he told me what we were doing for date night, and it was my date night. And I said, okay, can I meal prep first and then we'll do that? And he said yes, but he was kind of irked about it. And all of a sudden I was bothered. I could tell he wasn't okay with it, but he wasn't really telling me why. And I couldn't get out of my own way. So I went to my room because I kept being like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Which only annoyed him more because he wasn't telling me, or he didn't know, either or. So I went to my room. I got my handy dandy feeling wheel. I looked through to try and figure out what I was feeling, because all I knew that I was feeling was bothered. And the reality is I was feeling displeased because I needed to meal prep in order to take care of myself and keep my stress down so I can be more present on the date and connect. But I also people please, specifically with my husband. He's the hardest one for me to not please, and especially on date night. So I was feeling this, but as soon as I was able to realize I was feeling displeased because I couldn't have both. I couldn't meal prep and take care of myself and please him because he wanted me to do something different. I was able to move through the emotion and not sabotage myself, but also communicate to him how I was feeling. So in my example, if I would have ignored the bother, which I've done many, many times, I can tell you what happens. Conflict. We end up arguing because I know something's up. He either doesn't know what's up or he doesn't tell me what's up. And so we end up in conflict until whatever that tension is resolved. But it was my tension because I wanted to people please and I wanted to be able to meal prep. So rather than pushing that off on him, looking at emotions as a friend, I was able to be like, okay, this is a signal. My body is sending me a signal that something's up. Something's going on. I know no one's trying to kill me right now, but I don't feel awesome. How can I change this experience? I needed to understand it. Feeling wheel, thank you. And then I realized, okay, I'm feeling displeased. And as soon as I realized I was displeased, okay, I didn't get what I want. Once I realized that's what it was so much easier for me to shed that toxicity and that tension. And we can do this every single day because your emotions are your friends. They're coded with this wisdom that we just tend to ignore because the people who raised us and the culture we were raised in were uncomfortable with their emotions, so they just pass that down to us. But we have the opportunity to be smarter and wiser and realize this emotional system in our brain, it actually has a lot of information for us, and it can help us take care of ourselves, and it can help us be safe, not only from like physical threats, but from our psychological threats, which is predominantly what causes so much of our day-to-day suffering now. We aren't struggling with bears and lions as much as we are anxiety and depression. But if you look at what depression is, it's deep pressure, depression. And we create the deep pressure by pushing the emotions down because we think that they're not allowed based on the code that was instilled in us. It's ironic because the old narrative around emotions is that they make you irrational. And what's funny is people tend to seek control just of their lives in general, but especially of their emotional world. And when they ignore their emotions, they become controlled by their emotions. So it's kind of funny how the path to the promised land, so to speak, or to the gateway of freedom is with our emotions, befriending them, not pushing them away or pushing them down and creating pressure, because it's an energy. If we could just think positive when we're feeling something, people would be doing it, but it doesn't change things. That's why there's a thing called toxic positivity. We can gain control by becoming more insightful and more understanding and actually questioning, why is this emotion even coming up for me? Why is this the emotion I'm feeling? And then we can actually move through it. But that all starts with your willingness and bravery to look within. A lot of people come to me wanting to understand how to emotionally regulate themselves. And this is a really good first step, is to notice when you're feeling something, even if you don't know exactly what it is or how to name it. Again, feeling wheel. But even if you don't know how to name it, recognizing something's off and giving that some space and some time to understand what that is. And if you really don't know where to start, then great news, because I have this totally awesome, free, yep, I said it, new mini course about creating confidence. I've already had a bunch of people go through it and they are loving it. They already have new steps of how they're trying to build more resilience into their life. And there's a bunch of different elements. I won't get too much into it because I want you to go check it out. But if you are ready to really create confidence, emotionally regulate yourself, and really get away from this unnecessary suffering, be sure to click the link below. And I so look forward to seeing you there. And because I just care, I have extra accountability, so you actually get time with me. I really hope that you sign up because we could all use a boost nowadays. But that is all I have for you. Be nice to yourself, be nice to your emotions, befriend your emotions, and I will see you next week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.